shoot a black woman in Springfield, Illinois, Sonya Massey, 3 times in the face for holding a pot of water on the ground. You know, being black in America, we have to always be prepared for the unexpected. Being black in America, we have to always be prepared for the worst. Being black in America, unfortunately, also comes with the fact that because we are so disorganized as a race, we often have to accept less than what we are entitled to because we choose not to fight together. So much is going on the internet right now about the election. We got about 3.5 months until November the 5th, and so much conversation. A lot of American Africans are saying we should vote for Donald Trump because at least he's speaking to the economic issues of black America, whereas the Democrats have been completely silent. Some folks are saying we gotta vote for the Democrats because Trump is a monster. And I kind of disagree with all of the above, because who you vote for is not as important as why you vote and how you vote. What do I mean by that? You're supposed to have a reason for doing anything. You have a reason for going to work. You have a reason for raising your children. You had a reason for coming in here tonight to talk to Dr. Umar. You have a reason for why you pay insurance. You have a reason for why you feed your children healthy food. All human behavior has a reason. The only human behavior I know of that has no reason is black people's voting behavior. At least since Dr. King's assassination. At least since Dr. King's assassination. And let's see how many presidential elections we've had since then. Dr. King died shortly after, 68. So you had 72, you had 76, you had 1980, 84, 88, 92, 96, 2000, 2004, 2008, which was, many of y'all thought, the second coming of Jesus Christ, Barack Obama. He's gone, and as you can see, he brought you nothing at all. And then you had 2012, 2016, 2020, that's 13, and 2024. If my math is correct, forgive me if it isn't. We are 14 presidential elections since the assassination of the good Reverend, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. 14 elections later, and black people are still voting for the lesser of the two evils. Think about that for a minute. You are a $2 trillion people. You spend $30 billion on weaves and perms every year. $2 billion on Air Jordans every year. $4 billion on liquor and alcohol every year. $800 million on chicken, turkey, beef, and pork every year. Untold billions on electronics and video games. Per capita, you purchase more Mercedes-Benzes and BMWs than every other group in America, although you have less wealth than every other group in America. In 14 presidential elections since Dr. King, you're still voting for the lesser of the two evils. Is that the only way to go about this? Of course it's not. Voting for the lesser of the two evils, if you believe in such a thing, because for me, evil is evil. It don't come in degrees. Freedom is freedom. It don't come in degrees. Equality is equality. It don't come in degrees. Justice is justice. It don't come in degrees. My beautiful African sisters, is there such thing as being half pregnant?
No, sir. No, sir.
Is there such thing as being half dead? You're either alive or you're deceased. Certain things don't come in degrees, and freedom is one of them. Evil is one of them. Righteousness is one of them. The reason we're stuck voting for the lesser of the two evils, Columbia, South Carolina, is black people haven't made up our minds. We have not made up our minds to use our money and our political power as a weapon for our liberation. And let me be clear, most of you in here, most of us in America, 50 million American Africans are politically apathetic. You don't study politics. You don't get involved in politics. You have no interest in politics. I don't just mean the electoral politics. That's popular politics. I'm talking about everyday politics, the politics of liberation. The ways and means of achieving liberation, that's a political discourse. And do you know why we're so apathetic about who wins? We're so apathetic about who takes advantage of the black vote. We're so apathetic about who becomes the governor of South Carolina, the mayor of Columbia, the mayor of Charleston, the mayor of Goose Creek, Greenville, the mayor of Beaufort. You know why we're so apathetic? It's because slavery convinced you that you will never have control over your human destiny. Slavery made us comfortable having no say-so. 246 years on a plantation of being a thing instead of a person. Once that slavery was over, we continued to behave, think, act, and feel like we were irrelevant. And that plantation irrelevancy, that 2.5 centuries of plantation irrelevancy has seeped into the African psyche. And although we've been off the plantation for 156 years, our political behavior is still that of an irrelevant people. Our economic behavior is still that of an irrelevant people. Our social behavior is still that of an irrelevant people. I mean, let's look at the school system, right? I'm a certified school psychologist. My job is to do what? Evaluate the children for special education. It's my job to decide who's learning disabled, who's autistic, who's emotionally disturbed, who needs special ed for the ADHD, who needs special ed for the conduct disorder, who needs the special ed for the ODD, who needs special ed for the intermittent explosive disorder. And you know what I find in special ed? Black parents, even with your children, even with your babies, you are apathetic, and you often resign yourself to let white people dictate what is in the best interest of your black children. That's why the special ed is out of control. That's why the ADHD rates are out of control. That's why we got all these black boys throughout the state of South Carolina on Ritalin and Adderall and Concerta and Cycler and Meditate, taking these dangerous drugs. Same drugs that send men to jail on the street. They change the label and give it to your sons in school so they can sit still long enough to be miseducated by racist white females. And you all are just as passive with your children as you are about the politics. So don't say, Dr. Umar, we're not interested because we don't pick the president anyway. You're absolutely right. You don't pick the president. But you could use your numerical strength, your political power, and your economic power to transform the way business is done in America. And the longer you wait to get serious about your liberation, the harder it will be for you to stand when you decide to get up out that chair. Because I don't know if you've been paying attention. Ever since the election of Barack Hussein Obama, black people, every single election since, have been getting pushed further and further down the social ladder in this country. Before Barack Obama, you was the priority minority. They didn't like you, didn't care about you, but every president had to take a position on black folks. Good or bad. Now they don't even have to mention your name. In fact, they've come up with a whole list of words to use to make sure they don't even discuss you. They use words like minority. How do we make black people think we're including them when we're completely looking past them? They use words like minority. They use words like disadvantaged Americans. They use words like people of color. And you say, oh, they talking about me. I'm first. No, they're not talking about you. If they were talking about you, they would have said black like they used to. They don't use the words black and African American no more. They say minorities and people of color. That way they can talk to Asians and Arabs, East Indians and Latinos, not even include you and you think you're a part of the game. Because one of your plantation carryovers is that illusion of inclusion. Black people think they're being thought about when you're not even being mentioned. And my black sisters, I know y'all crazy for Kamala Harris. Y'all can't wait. Go give your sister that vote, your AKA sister. Go ahead. And guess what she gonna do for you? The same thing Barack Obama did for you. Not a damn thing. Not a damn thing. I tell you who's gonna eat real good though. Let Vice President Harris end up in that White House. You know who's gonna eat real good? The East Indian immigrant community. By the time she's out the White House, oh, you think they own the Dunkin'? You think they own the hotel chains now? You think the East Indians are buying up all these American franchises now? Wait till Kamala Harris get done with the White House. Barack Obama put the homosexuals out front. Kamala Harris gonna put the East Indians out front. They will be the #1 minority group in this country if she gets that White House.
Preach.
And it's our fault. I don't even have to demonize her. I don't know if she's half black today or half Indian today, but I don't even have to demonize her. Truth of the matter is, black people, until you start organizing, working together, solidarity is the weakness of the American Negro. It is the one thing you will not do that other people can always take advantage of you because you will not work together. You won't work together in Columbia. You won't work together in Baltimore. You won't work together in Miami. You won't work together in Philadelphia. No! Even with all your Jesus talk, you're still a group of self-hating ex-slaves. Even with all your Muhammad talk, your Hebrew talk, your Moor talk, you still don't work together as a race. All right. But you claim to be saved. If you are saved, how is it possible you can be saved but do nothing to save your people? The contradictions under which we live. Black people refusing to look in the mirror. And then we get around non-black people and think they accept us as an equal. How can they? See, when you come around that Jew or that Anglo-Saxon or that Arab, that East Indian, they're part of a community that works together. Their community don't work together. We have common ancestry, common history, common experience, but we don't have a common destiny because we don't want one. Most black people are not interested in freedom, you're interested in comfort under white supremacy. See, you don't really have a problem with white people running your life because after all, most of you pray to a white Jesus, so you can't have trouble with a white president. If God is white, the president being white is nothing at all. You just want better conditions. I remember when I spoke to some of the Black Power elders, and they talked about how what the government did to neutralize the black liberation struggle. And I don't want to oversimplify it because it's not simple, it's complex as all issues are. But one of the things they talked about was how the government said half these Negroes with their fists in the air don't really want liberation. They just want a job. Half these Negroes with their fists in the air, they don't want liberation, they just want a half decent place to live. Half these people with a fist in the air, they don't really want liberation, they just want their children to go to a halfway decent school. You got to know yourself. Why are you here? What do you want? Do you only want comfort and convenience, or do you want freedom for all black folks? I'm gonna answer the question for you. Most of you want comfort and convenience. You don't want liberation. You know why? Because liberation means you become ultimately responsible for whether you live or die. Liberation means you got to educate your own children. Liberation means you got to build your own homes for your community. Liberation means you got to go into the communities in South Carolina and stop the brothers on the corner from killing each other. Not the police, not the governor of South Carolina, not Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, or Donald Trump. You become the first and the last force in the community. We don't want that. Black people don't want that. You don't want to be thrown in a bush and say, hey, you want to be free, ninja? Go! You don't want that. You want the white man's jobs, you want the white man's neighborhood, you want to eat at the white man's restaurants, you want the white woman to educate your kids, and some of y'all will pay extra money for them to be educated by rich white people. You pay $20,000 and $30,000 a year for private school, a better self-hatred instruction. Do we really want to be free? If somebody asks Joe Biden, you think black people in America really want to be free? You say hell no. Barack Obama, Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, George Bush. Do y'all really think black people in America want to be free? Of course not. I mean, think about it now. We enslaved their ancestors for 250 years, 46. We never paid them no restitution whatsoever. We never took accountability for it. Never said we feel wrong for doing it. We still treat them like dirt, and they will still wake up on the 4th of July and say, I'm proud to be an American. Go ahead. How they gonna respect you like that? My country. Don't even let your ass in the White House. My country. You better not be caught at the governor's mansion by yourself. My country, since when? What exactly about this is yours? And I'm not asking you to hate it, but I'm sure having trouble understanding why you love it. Brothers and sisters, we got 5 major problems in this country. Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, neither of them have spoken to either one of them, and I'm willing to bet they will not. They don't have to, because you're not going to organize yourselves to make them do it. Let me say this and be clear. The black vote will only matter if we organize it. We have to vote as a people. We cannot vote as individuals. If you know anything about the science of a democracy, the majority rule. Minorities are victims of the majority in a democracy. And the only way a minority can have their voice heard is to do what? Tie their votes together and vote as a unit so you have a bigger voice. But guess what? Nobody in South Carolina wants you to organize your vote in Columbia. They want you to continue voting as individuals. You know why? As long as you vote as an individual, they never have to take you seriously. As long as you go out here and vote for anybody, state rep, U.S. rep, state senator, U.S. senator, council person, mayor, governor, president, it don't matter. If you're voting by yourself and you have not tied your vote with other black people in South Carolina so you can have a voice, your votes don't mean nothing. Your votes don't mean anything to us. They matter to the elected officials. They need them to win, but they never matter to us because they're not tied together to give us a voice. Don't you find it interesting? Your black leadership in South Carolina has never asked you to organize your vote. You don't find that a bit interesting? That your black churches in South Carolina have never asked you to organize your vote. Don't you find it a little interesting that your community-based organizations have never asked you to organize your vote before you actually go vote? Why don't all these black leaders ever try to get y'all to vote together? Why they don't get y'all to come together as a unit and say, let's sit down and meet with the gubernatorial candidates first. Let's sit down and meet with the congressional candidates first. Let's call Kamala Harris and Joe Biden into Columbia and tell them they got to answer some questions, and then we will decide how we're going to vote, because we're voting together. We're voting together. All 500,000 of these black votes is going one place or the other. They will not be torn apart. They will not be splintered. We are voting as a people. Why don't your leaders ever do that? Why has Al Sharpton never done that? Al Sharpton has never told black people to vote together. Jesse Jackson has never told black people to vote together. You know why? If you vote together, you can hold people accountable. And nobody wants black people telling people what to do. So you're the only group who is told to vote by yourself. They don't say come in this room and talk about who we should vote for. They say go out and vote. Exercise your constitutional rights. Because they know if you vote without being part of a unit, you will have no voice in what is done. I read a post on Instagram while I was riding over here. Brother said, Dr. Umar, we got to try to hold them accountable after they get elected. That's the worst strategy in life. You don't hold people accountable after they get in. Once they in, they in. You're supposed to hold them accountable before they get your vote. See, that's the backwards nature of Negro political behavior. We're going to let them get in office after they already won on other people's votes and other people's money, and then we want to try to hold them accountable. That's why you're not taken seriously. Brothers and sisters, our 5 major problems are miseducation, mass incarceration, gentrification, ethnic cleansing of black folks out of predominantly black neighborhoods, police genocide, as would happen to our sister Sonya Massey. And you know what I find interesting about Sister Sonya's execution? I ain't heard either candidate. This woman took 3 bullets to the face. The video is all over the internet. I haven't heard either candidate. Not the Republican presumptive nominee, not the Democratic presumptive nominee, not Kamala or Donald. Neither one of them have spoken to Sonya Massey's execution. It's the biggest conversation outside of the election. Why are they not talking about it? Why has neither one of them said anything about that sister taking 3 bullets to the face? I'll tell you why they're not going to say nothing.
Go ahead, bro.
The police union. Who are the 2 most powerful unions in America? Police and teachers. This is why the schools will never change. And this is why the police will never stop killing. You know why? Because they are organized. Police are organized. They put millions of dollars behind what? Campaigns. And they put millions of votes to put people in office. Why you think you never see the schools get better in South Carolina? Who has ever run for governor in South Carolina with a promise to change the schools? No damn body. You know why? The teachers union. Those white women are organized. They got money, they got votes, they got political influence. The police are organized. They got money, they got votes, they got political influence. The homosexuals are organized. They got money, they got votes, they got political influence. And because of that, they get things done. They dictate political behavior because they are organized. What's so hard for you to organize? Because you have no faith in yourself. And you have no faith in other people who look like you. That's right, most of you have psychologically quit. You have advocated for the freedom struggle, but your ego doesn't allow you to admit that to the rest of us. You ain't fighting for black people. You'll come to the Dr. Umar lecture, sure! You gotta sacrifice nothing to be here. But soon, when you gotta start sacrificing something, you Negroes will drop out. You ain't coming back. No! You're psychologically defeated. Let us stop playing games. I don't care how many trips you take to Africa. I don't care how many times you lock your hair. I don't care how many African weddings you didn't have. I don't care how many Black History Month programs you didn't through. I don't care how many Kwanzaa events you've attended. Let's be honest now. Most of us are psychologically defeated. We are a conquered people. We are a conquered people. Nothing we do says we respect ourselves as a group. And then we always want to scapegoat God for everything. Well, let's leave it up to the Lord. You're the only person blaming God for problems you create. The science of prayer, and I don't care what religion you're in, I'm a Pan-Africanist, so I believe in freedom of religion, as long as your God don't look like your oppressor. And as long as your religion doesn't stop you from organizing with black people who don't believe in it. Because the minute you tell me I can't struggle with other black people unless they are born again Christian or Muslim or a Hebrew or this or that, if you say you can't work with your brothers and sisters because they don't worship the way you do, you just become a religious narcissist, and your religion is the enemy of black folks. We don't suffer for what we believe. Why the hell we keep organizing around it? Nothing wrong with going to church, going to the mosque to pray, but when we talk about political organization, I don't know why we got to keep organizing around religions. Nobody suffers for what they believe in. You suffer because you're African, and you was African before Jesus. You was African before Moses. You was African before Muhammad. And you was African before Abraham. We walked the earth before any of those religions ever created. And now you want to pigeonhole me to something that wasn't created until after God put me here. The religions are younger than African people, so why are African people being strangleholded by religions? And you think being oppressed is a blessing because you're taught that in church by religious leaders who don't want to organize you to fight for power, so they simply tell you to glory in powerlessness. The meek shall inherit the earth. They're not talking about the meek inheriting the earth in the white Jewish synagogues. Ain't no Chinese and Arabs talking about no meek shall inherit the earth. They're trying to get every black penny they can get in South Carolina. But because you don't want to fight to be equal, you don't want to fight for liberty, you engineer your religion to justify your political laziness. All these years of praying and we ain't free yet, either something wrong with you, something wrong with the religion, or something wrong with both of you. And you know what's sad? After 405 years of this crap, our number one strategy to eliminate racism is to still pray white people into humanity. That's our number one strategy, compassion. That's your number one weapon. I'm going to make white people feel bad about what they've been doing as if they don't know what they've been doing.
Go ahead.
You better understand the 3 rules of racism. And I might be the first and only person to tell them to you. Religious Negroes can't, because religions are all multicultural and colorblind. Damn near everyone. Even the ones that claim not to be multicultural and colorblind, if you listen to them close enough, they're making exceptions for certain groups. The first rule of racism. Come on in, family. We got seats up here. You don't have to stand. We do have seats up in the front. You just got to sit up in the front. We do have seats. First rule of racism, South Carolina. First rule of racism. All white people are racist. All Caucasians. The British, the French, the Anglo-Saxon, the Italian, the Irish, all Caucasians are racist. They have to be, because they are a numerical minority. And the only way they can dominate being a numerical minority is to exploit everybody else. They cannot practice equality and run the world. They know that. So equality to them is a sin. They believe in domination. White power domination. That's all they do. That's all they do. Now some of y'all say, wait a minute, Dr. Umar, you can't say every white person is a racist. I know some good white folks. You think you know some good white folks. But I do want to say this, I don't believe every white person is a bigot. Don't confuse racism with bigotry. This is a big mistake we make in the black community. We think racism and racial bigotry are the same. They are not. Let me explain the difference to you. A bigot, a white bigot, is emotionally attached to your destruction. You are a N-I-double-G-A to them. You are racially inferior. You're half monkey. You can't do nothing right. You're spiritually deficient. You're psychologically ill. That's the bigot. The bigot has an emotional opinion that black people are less than them and should not exist. That is a bigot. Ku Klux Klan, that is bigotry. But you don't have to be a bigot to be a racist. You don't have to dislike black people to be a racist. You don't have to use the N-word to be a racist. I need y'all to understand me really clear. Political Science 101 here tonight. Racism only means one thing. You don't have to hate black people to be a racist. Racism means one thing, and this is that one thing. I believe, as a Caucasian, that my people should be in absolute, total control of all resources, opportunities, and privileges. That's it. I don't have to kill nobody. I don't have to believe black people inferior. I don't have to believe none of the stuff bigots believe, but I want white people to run Columbia, South Carolina. I want white people to run the banks of Columbia, South Carolina. I want white people to run the schools of Columbia, South Carolina. I want white people to run the criminal justice system of South Carolina. See how this goes? It ain't got nothing to do with hating blacks. But you selfishly want your people to monopolize power. Therefore, Colombia, I don't care if you're sleeping with white people. I don't care if you're hanging with white people. I don't care if you're praying with white people. I don't care if you're marrying white people, making babies with white people. That does not prove that they're not racist. It might prove they're not a bigot, but it does not prove they're not racist, because all Caucasians are racist. Second rule of racism: white people do not share power with blacks. White people do not share power with blacks. I'm gonna take you back 10 years ago, almost 20. Remember when they first started gentrifying our communities? The white people started coming back, buying up, pushing us out, right? Do you know what they did before they started pushing us out? They had a propaganda campaign that said, we're gonna make New York City a community for everybody. We're gonna make Columbia, South Carolina a community for everybody. We're gonna make Baltimore, Maryland, and Washington, D.C., and Los Angeles a community for everybody. I knew that was a scam. I said, they're about to take over the black community. People said, Dr. Umar, cut it out with your conspiracy theories. Whenever white people talk about sharing power, what they really mean is we're about to take power. Did y'all hear what I just said? You gotta read through the language of racism. When white people say we're about to share power, that means we're about to take power. And that's exactly what they did. Do you know we have the highest black homelessness rate since Dr. King walked the earth? And do you know why we have the highest black homelessness rate since Dr. King walked the earth? Because of gentrification. 3 strategies: open up charter schools, which give white people legitimate reason to be moving into a black community to educate your kids, and y'all love white people teaching your kids because y'all want to be accepted by white folks. So you're not going to question them moving in your house, moving in your neighborhood. So charter schools play a big role in gentrification. If you look at the most gentrified black communities in America, they have the largest number of charter schools. I live in the #1 most gentrified city, Philadelphia, #1 in the country. We overtook San Francisco and Seattle a couple years ago. Philadelphia has the most charter schools. That got charter schools in Colombia? Yes, sir. That means you got gentrification in Colombia. Let me show you how this works. This is a section of Colombia over here. White people want to take it back, but it's entrenched with black people. How are we going to get rid of them blacks over there? It's a heavy black community, but we need them out. You know what we're going to do? We're going to find one of these little Negroes and pay them to be the face of the charter school. So black people don't do no research, so you think the charter school is black because the person talking about it is black. And then the white people who really open up the charter school, they're going to hire all white people to work at the charter school. And these white people are going to move into that black section of Columbia, South Carolina. And black people ain't going to say nothing about it. You know why? Because Jesus don't see color, so they can come in. See how your religion is used against you as a weakness? Okay? You say Jesus don't see color, but when you read the Bible, Jesus made it very clear that he was sent only to the house of Israel. He wasn't sent to do work for nobody else. Y'all made him a universal phenomenon. Jesus said, my work is with my people and only my people. Y'all turned him into colorblind, but when you read the Bible, Jesus was not colorblind. He was very first a race first renegade. So the white people move into the black community. They start buying up the houses, buying up the lots. You don't say nothing because that's my child's teacher. And then they do what? Push the property value up. Now the property taxes is up. Now grandma, she's been retired for 20 years, public school teacher, public servant, and now the property tax is going up so high, grandma can't afford to live there no more, so she forced to sell. And you know what makes it worse? Your black churches, who you give your Jesus money to, guess where they put their money at? In the same white bank that's financing white developers to move you out your neighborhood. Let me say that. You are literally praying to be homeless. Because when you give money to the church in Colombia, the churches take your money to the same bank who's going to take your white Jesus money and give it to white people so they can buy up your neighborhood and push you out of it. Oh yeah. Jesus' money is doing the devil's work. Woo! And then the black pastor tell you, I'm not political. We don't deal with politics, Dr. Umar. We just deal with the Lord. Well, if you so political, pastor, why is your church always the first stop or the last stop for somebody running for political office? If the black church is not political, why do you allow your pulpit to be exploited by political pimps? If Jesus ain't got nothing to do with who's running for political office, why do you let the candidates exploit your pulpit? Because pastors are pimps just like politicians. And if you disagree, show me the church in Colombia that's leading the fight for better schools. Show me the church in Colombia. I didn't say coming to the meetings. I didn't say showing up to talk. I didn't say participating in a march. I said aggressively leading and fighting and not taking no money, by the way. Because what a lot of you ninjas do is you get grants from the same people we fighting. You're a hypocrite. Let me just say that right now. If you're taking money from the people we fighting, you are a hypocrite. Period. There's no way around it. When we started renovating the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy in Wilmington, Delaware, people was coming to me, Dr. Umar, we want to help fund the school. I can't take your money. Why? Because you're a politician. I can't take your money. You're going to give me money so I won't criticize you publicly when you screw my people over. I can't do that. I said, there's black people who depend on my political opinion before they make decisions. I cannot be bought. I didn't come this far in life to be somebody's pet. Some of y'all don't mind being pets as long as you get enough money. I'm not for sale. What does it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? You got to stay free. Listen, if you can't do nothing else, don't compromise your integrity. Too many of us can't fight the good fight because we done already sold out. Some of y'all took money 10, 20 years back, and you can't say nothing for black people no more because you had already sold your soul 10, 20 years ago. Selling out to the Democrats, selling out to the Republicans, selling out to the black pastors, selling out to the Masons, selling out to the fraternity, selling out to the gay secret societies, selling out to this, selling out to that. I ain't sold out to nobody. I ain't no Mason, no Greek, no elk, nothing. I'm black, and that's it. I don't belong to nothing. Why? Because I will not pledge loyalty to anything above black people. Some of y'all got loyalties that supersede your race. So you will sell out waiting to happen because there's something more important to you than your people's freedom. Your fraternity more important than your people's freedom. Your Masonic lodge more important than your people's freedom. Your professional group more important than your people's freedom. Being gay more important than your people's freedom. A lot of you got commitments to certain causes that supersede black liberation. I don't have that problem. Only thing I think about is liberation for black folks. I ain't got no contradictions in my walk. And you know what's funny? When I come across Negroes who got contradictions in their walk, they try to make me feel bad because they not free no more. Dr. Umar, if you go and say that, I might lose my grant. You should have never had it. Don't invite me to speak, because what you ain't gonna do is ask me to speak and then think you're gonna script my words. I don't do that. I dance to my own tune. Nobody gonna tell me, oh, we would have bring you in, Dr. Umar, but you be saying stuff that's gonna step on some toe. That's my job. And y'all gotta be careful what y'all listen to on the radio when it comes to the political struggle, the presidential race and all the political struggles, because you know the first thing that Republicans and Democrats do is they pay off black media. Did y'all hear what I just said? I don't know how many black talk stations y'all got in South Carolina. I don't know how many hip hop and R&B stations y'all got in South Carolina. I don't know how many gospel stations y'all got in South Carolina. I don't know how many social media influencers y'all have in South Carolina. But I'm gonna tell you right now, Kamala Harris just raised what, $84 million overnight? 81 million. The highest 24-hour campaign raise in presidential history, more than Obama. And guess what she gonna do with some of that money? First thing she gonna do, come right into South Carolina, go to the black bourgeoisies and say, who are your top black stations in this state? We gotta buy them off right now. We don't want them saying nothing about Donald Trump, nothing good, no Trump. We're going to pay them to only push the Democratic agenda. Where your top pastors at? We're going to pay them to only push. This is what they do. So when you listen to the radio, you think you're listening to somebody giving you an unbiased assessment of the political struggle. No, they've been bought. You don't get no unbiased media. These Negroes is bought. I keep getting text messages, somebody talking about something I want to meet with, what's the Kennedy guy that's running as an independent, I think? RFK. They keep calling me, do you want to sit down with RFK? For what? What is RFK trying to do for black folks? Y'all not gonna make me I'm not no flunky. I'm not for sale. Keep trying to make me be, they want me to endorse one of these folks. You out of your damn mind. Y'all not loyal to me. John F. Kennedy was a lawyer to black folks. How many black people had to die and go to jail before he finally sent the military down there to intervene? He didn't care about us. His brother, the Attorney General, was tapping Dr. King's phone while he smiled in his face. Oh, white people care about black folks, and that's your problem. You think there's actually white folks who care about you, so you keep giving them the benefit of the doubt. How silly you are. And then you want to keep on blaming God. Well, you know, God will change. No, God, did God spend $30 million on weave or did you? Did God spend $2 million on Air Jordans or did you? Is God running around wiping these flat booty snow bunnies up or you? Always want to blame God when something go wrong for black folks. We don't take responsibility for nothing. That's the Lord's work. Police killed Sonya Massey, that's the Lord's work. No, it ain't, it's Negro work. Stop blaming God. God that already gave you everything you need to fix your problems, but you don't care enough to do it. Right. Keep on using religion as a crutch for why you don't do better for yourselves. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. And what example are we building for our children? The same old tired example? Black people spending all their money to have fun and begging for what they need from white folks who can't stand them? That don't even make no sense. $2 trillion people begging white people to fix your schools when you can open your own. Do we have a black-owned hospital in South Carolina? And why don't we have a black-owned hospital in South Carolina? The law allowed, Jews got their own hospital. Asians got their own hospital. Some Arabs got their own hospital. You ain't got one. But you got all the weaves, all the perms, all the nails, all the sneakers. You got Negroes with 200 pair of sneakers in their house. Overgrown children. Black men, we act like overgrown children. I'm collecting sneakers. You damn near 60, collecting sneakers. Overgrown child syndrome. That's what we do. 25 cars. Look at the rappers. These niggas got 25 and 50 cars. Ain't built an institution yet. Children think like that. Children spend their money on pleasure and beg for their necessities. Grown men are supposed to spend their money on necessities and think later about the pleasure. And we gotta stop this black male-female relationship back and forth struggle, because at the end of the day, we need each other. We all we got. Y'all need to stop this. We all we got. When I look at Sonya Massey, 3 bullets to the face, and then I get on YouTube and see black men tearing black women down, what are we doing, fellas? Even if you got a problem with your woman, you don't tell the whole world you don't value her. You don't tell the whole world you don't care about her safety. You don't tell the whole world she don't mean nothing to you. You got black men on the internet telling the whole world, I don't care about my woman. Which means you don't care about your damn mother. And then we want the women to be perfect. If anything wrong with her, she ain't good enough. She better be the right weight, the right shape, the right hairstyle, the right job, the right income. She better not question what I say. Listen, if you want the black woman to treat you like a king, then you gotta stop sending her to work for white men. It is a contradiction for a black man to tell a black woman, honor me and obey me as your king, but you gotta go work for white men in the morning. That's a complete contradiction. Kings don't send their women to go work for other people. So if we're going to be kings all day long, or we just want to be a king when it suits us. I had one brother say, Dr. Umar, black women don't give us the power, how are we going to lead? My ninja. My ninja, my ninja. You don't need to ask black women to give you the power. If you do what you're supposed to do as a man, she will give you the damn power. One thing, if black men did it, black women will be so happy with us. And you know what that is, fellas? Just one thing. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot we need to be doing. But there's just one thing, if we did it, black women would love us to death. She would take a deep breath and say, thank you, my brother. You know what that is? Take control for the destiny of black boys in our communities. If we just did that. If we just did that. Stop the killing on our own. Make sure they go to school on our own. If they don't have a father or father figure in their life, give them one. Be accountable for them. Make their ass go in a house at curfew, a curfew that we set. If black men would just take responsibility for the raising of the boys, black women would be so happy. We don't even want to do that. I hear Negro say, I'm not his father, so he's not my responsibility. Good God Almighty. Good God. And you know what's so sad about that? Coming from an African cultural perspective, coming from an African cultural perspective. 3 minutes. I need 10 minutes, Queen Mother. 10 minutes. Thank you. Give Queen Mother a hand. She made this happen, Mama G. The first time I came to Columbia was an invitation by the University of South Carolina to keynote their psychological conference, Black Psychology Conference. That was back in probably 2012. Dawn Staley, my North Philadelphia sister, had just taken over to be the head coach of your Lady Gamecocks. But every visit since then was because of Mama G. So we want to give her that respect and that honor.